4 units long. Okay, that one was supposed to be relieve a little bit of stress, but some of you still overthought it. If you wanted to do it the long way, you could have done the distance between every single pair of points. These two, these two, these two, and these two, and this one would be the only one where you came up with 4, but we intentionally put it like that so you could count. Okay, so the next one, we had lots of questions on the next one. The vertices of triangle ABC are A, -3, 4. Okay, we've got -3, 4, and so I'm going to go ahead and graph these. And a lot of you guys, you graphed these, but you didn't do any calculations. So I'm going to be at -3, +4. That's A. B is at 5, 1. And C is at -4, -1. Okay? So what we have here is we have a triangle. I'll come see you in a minute. I'm filming and I'll come again. So, sorry, my little girl came in. So I'm going to find the lengths of the 3 sides. Now I'm not just going to count and look at it. It does look scalene. I do give you that. It does look scalene, but you don't know it's scalene and you have to be able to mathematically verify it. So we're going to have 3 different colors for 3 different distances. So I'm going to do the distance right now. This is B, by the way. I'm going to do AB first. Okay, the distance from A to B. And here's your favorite, the distance formula. So from A to B, what are my 2 x coordinates? 5 and -3. And my 2 y coordinates are 1 and 4. Okay, so the distance from A to B is minus the -3 changes to a positive, so I've got 8 squared plus -3 squared. Keep your parentheses. So the distance from A to B equals the square root of 64 plus 9, which is the square root of 73. So you will do the square root of 73 in your calculator. You hit second square root 73, whoops, second square root 73, and you have 8.5. All right, so AB is 8.5 units long. That's a little u, by the way. All right, so let's do AC. Okay, the distance from A to C. So I've got my, from A to C, what are my 2 x coordinates? -4, -3. My 2 y values, -1, +4. So the distance from A to C, that's plus a positive, so that becomes -1 squared plus -5 squared. Well, what happens when you square negative numbers? They become positive. So I have 1 plus 25, which equals the square root of 26. So the square root of 26 is going to be about 5. 5.0, 5.1. So 5.1. So this side is 5.1 units long. All right, so we know for sure we don't have an equilateral triangle. The question is now, is it isosceles? Well, let's find the last side. Let's find this guy. All right, so now I'm going to do the distance from B to C. Some of you forgot the third side. So the distance from B to C, I've got -4 and 5 for my x's, -1 and 1 for my y's. So the distance from B to C was -9 squared plus -2 squared. And you can already tell that doesn't look like anything else that we have. But we'll go ahead and figure it out. So -9 squared is 81. 2 squared is 4. So we have the square root of 85. And that's not going to be the same as anything that we have. Whoops. Square root of 85, which is 9.2. So this guy's 9.2. So that's 9.2 units, that's 8.5 units, and that's 5.1 units. So what kind of triangle is this? Scalene. And again, some of you wrote it down scalene. You could see it from the picture, but pictures can be deceptive sometimes. And so you have to be able to show the calculations, and you're not always going to have those nice, round, even numbers to work with. Okay? All right, we're almost done with the distance and midpoint stuff. We got one more set. Okay, so here, all you had to do was use the distance formula for the points above. And I'm going to put the points here so you can see them. A is 1, 1. B is -3, 1. And C is 1, -2. Now, what you had to do is you had to find the distance for each one. So let's do the distance from A to B. The distance from A to B, Kaylin, the distance from A to B is x2 minus x1, so -3 minus 1, y2 minus y1, 1 minus 1. So the distance from A to B is equal to -4 squared plus 0 squared. Some of you again got -4 and you made that -16. When you square something, it becomes positive. So the distance from A to B is equal to the square root of 16 plus 0, and the square root of 16 is 4. So that was your answer to the first one. Now let's do the distance, oops, sorry, see, and I've got them out of order. This one will switch. These will switch places, because that's AB. I thought it went in order. It said AC. Okay, so for AC, the distance from A to C, which is the one we should have done, this is what happens when you're mad at YouTube and you don't pay attention to your own paper. So again, these are switched. I did AB up here, which goes here, so I'm going to do AC now. So AC, you got -2 and, 1 and 1 for your X's, and -2 and 1 for your Y's. So the distance from A to C is the square root of 0 squared plus -3 squared. Again, a lot of you lost it here because you kept the number negative. Keep your parentheses. So the distance from A to C is the square root of +9, which is 3. So this answer should have been 3 for AC. AC is 3, AB is 4. Now we're going to do BC. All right, the distance from B to C. I'm trying to rush this so I can get this up on Google. Okay, from B to C, you have 1 and -3. 1 and -3. Then you have -2 and 1. -2 and 1. So the distance from B to C, I have 1 minus -3, that becomes plus a positive, so I've got 4 squared. -2 minus 1 is -3 squared. Again, it stays positive when you square it. So I've got the square root of 16 plus +9, which is the square root of 25, which is 5. So you should have gotten 3, 4, and 5 for those. All right, so that concludes the distance and midpoint. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this now, and then I will get back with the other ones.